Okay, here we go with 2.1, writing and graphing inequalities. I think this will be a pretty quick lesson. Um, Probably a fair amount of review. We should move through this one pretty darn quickly. Our essential question, or kind of our target here, is how can you use an inequality to describe a real life statement? So we're going to be, again, kind of figuring out how we're going to use numbers and inequalities for real life stuff. Okay, so you might want to work with a partner with this. Find someone at home, um, call a friend, do all those wonderful things that you guys know how to do. And write an inequality for each statement. And then I'd like you to sketch the graph that's provided that makes each inequality true. So your first statement. Well, why don't you go ahead and try those, and then unpause. Okay, first one statement is the temperature T in Sweden is at least negative 10 degrees Celsius. Again, you want to focus on the words at least. What does that mean? It means it could be negative 10 or more, right? So you'd want to have T be greater than or equal to negative 10. And how would that look like on a graph? Remember, when graphing, you got to kind of figure out what your key points or points are. And then whether it's open or closed dot. If it's inclusive, in other words, including negative 10, would it be what, filled in or not filled in? Hopefully you said filled in. And then think about where would the numbers be that are bigger than negative 10? They would be to the right on the number line. So it would be all these. So if I ask you, like, how many solutions are there to this inequality, you would say there's an infinite number, which is true because there's an infinite number of numbers on the number line that are greater than or equal to negative 10. Okay, next statement. The elevation E of Alabama is at most 2,407 feet. Yeah, not a lot of real high mountains in Alabama. So hopefully for this one, at most means, can it be 2,407? Yes, it can. But it's not going to be more than that. It's going to be that amount at most, meaning less than or equal to. So E would be less than or equal to 2,407, and your graph should have looked like that. And notice how I just added in 2,407. If you didn't do that and you approximate, that's fine, but generally you want to have your key number on there. Okay, go ahead. Again, you can work with the partner here, but basically what you're doing is you're going to write an inequality for each graph. So we're kind of going the other way. And then in words, describe all the values of x that make each inequality true. You can just kind of do that to yourself. Or you can write it out if you want. Okay, try those. Okay, hopefully you got x is greater than or equal to 1. And one way of writing this out would be, in words, would be what? All values that are at least 1, something like that. Okay, this one would be greater than open circle. Notice it's an open circle because we're not including 1. We're including 1.00000001, but we're not including 1. Okay, and hopefully you got that and that. Okay. So again, basically what this is telling us, we got x is less than would be a less than sign. We always read these from left to right. So that the smaller part of the alligator's mouth, you probably remember that, is on the left. It's going to be less than. If it's the smaller parts on the right or the bigger parts on the left, then it means greater than, less than or equal to, greater than or equal to. Do you know what the fifth inequality is? Do you know? It's actually that. What does that mean? Not equal to. Not equal to. Okay. Okay, write each sentence as an inequality. So a number w minus 3.5 is less than or equal to negative 2. So how would you write a number w minus 3.5? Wouldn't that just be w and then subtraction sign 3.5 is less than or equal to? You had less than or equal to negative 2. Okay, 3 is less than a number n plus 5. So think about where the inequality symbol is. 3 is less than a number n plus 5. We got that. And 0 is greater than or equal to twice a number plus 1. So 0 greater than or equal to twice a number x, which would be 2x, and then plus 1. Notice it doesn't say twice the quantity of number x plus 1. If it was, then you'd have to have parentheses there. But only thing being multiplied by the 2 or being twice was the number x. Okay. So go ahead and you can try these. A number b is fewer than 30.4. And 7/10 is at least twice a number k minus 4. So 7/10 is at least, right? So that means that the 7/10 has to be what? Greater than or equal to, and then twice a number k minus 4. Okay, what are you going to do for these? Tell whether -4 is a solution of each inequality. Well, wouldn't you just plug in and want the side that's on the less hand side to be a smaller number than what's on the right? That's exactly how you do it. So go ahead and try those. So if I'm plugging in -4 in for x, use my parentheses, plug it in, simplify my left side, and hopefully you got 4, and is 4 less than -3? Is that a true statement? No. So is that a solution? Is -4 a solution? No. Doesn't mean that there aren't solutions to that. Clearly there are, but it just means -4 is not one of them. Okay, what about this one? You plug in -4, you get a negative times a negative, which is a positive, and you get 18. Is 18 greater than -21? Answer is yes. And we basically could have stopped as soon as we saw it was a negative times a negative. It's going to be a positive on the side. Always going to be greater than a negative. And then for this one, again, you plug in, right? Again, super important that you're trying these on your own. Good habit to get into. And is that one true? Is -41 greater than -2? Be careful. The answer is no, it's not, right? It's further to the left in the number line. All right, so try graphing these. Remember, the 3 things to remember in graphing is, what's my key point? What's my key number? Is it going to be an open or closed dot, depending on the inequality sign? Open if it's a greater than or a less than. Closed, in other words, filled in if it's less than or equal to or greater than or equal to. And then which way am I going to shade, left or right? Okay. All right, so hopefully for this one, -3 was our key point. It's going to be filled in because it's less than or equal to. And then we want numbers that are less than -3. So is that right? Oh, no, it's not. Well, watch what I'm going to do. Did that on purpose. Look at that. There's your answer. Okay, now a lot of times people want to say, oh, well, it's less than, so I always know the arrow is going to go to the left. Not necessarily. It is only true if the variable is on the left side. So here, be careful. 2 is less than x, right? So what's our key point? 2, open or closed? Open, good. And where do we want the value? What's going to make that true? Numbers bigger than 2 or less than 2? Bigger. So which way are we shading? To the right. And notice how I've made my open circle there. Okay. Okay, what about this one? Try this one. Hopefully you got that. Good. Okay, the graph shows the height restrictions, h in inches for 2 rides in an amusement park. Write an inequality that represents the height restriction of each ride. So here's ride A, here's ride B. What is this basically saying? Yeah, for ride A, it's saying you've got to be 48 inches or taller, right? And for ride B, you have to be less than 52. So what kind of ride would ride B be at an amusement park? Are you thinking like Kiddieland, you know, for the little kids, where, you know, if someone like me that's almost 6'2" tries to, you know, sit in the train, I'm going to get my head, you know, knocked off by when we go through a tunnel or something like that. So that would be the situation. Okay. All right. Right inequality represents this graph. So it can be open or if it's open or closed dot, it's closed, right? So does that mean greater than or equal to, less than or equal to? What kind of inequality sign are we going to have? And I don't care what variable you use. I probably used x. I did. How about that? Greater than or equal to -6. Okay, and then I want you to write out, explain how to graph the inequality x is greater than -2 to someone you were speaking to on the phone. And have some fun with it. So go ahead and write that out. No more than one paragraph. And then when you're done, you can uncover what I wrote. So I put, hi, how are you? I am so glad you are doing fantastic today. So the solution set to this inequality are all the values that make this inequality true. Sure, I can hold. Okay, so it would be all real numbers, which means all numbers on the number line that are greater than 2, but not including 2. So not -2. Yeah, I put 2. It should be -2. Not -2, but and not including -2. So like -1.9999999, yes, that definitely would be part of it, but not -2. To graph it, you'd put an open circle on the line above -2 and then fill in the line to the right, because that's where the numbers that are bigger than -2 are located. Have a great day. Ciao.